What is really going on, crypto savages? You are listening to the CoinSpice podcast with host C. Edward Kelso, editor-in-chief at CoinSpice.io, your home for spicy crypto things on the net.
What is really going on, crypto savages? This is your host, C. Edward Kelso, editor-in-chief out at CoinSpice.io. Back with another episode of the CoinSpice podcast. This time around, I've got Valentin from MemoPay.xyz. It's a really interesting concept. It changes all the incentive structures for advertising and uses available technology to accomplish it. I think it can be, whether it's through Valentin's company and his particular idea or not, I think it's definitely something that'll get the juices flowing in your mind. You'll begin to kind of see the potential, or the vast different ways that this can be used and utilized. And again, it starts with kind of a basic assumption about human nature. And Valentin is really good at explaining how we kind of sit in this bubble and how his idea kind of breaks out of it. Anyway, I think you're going to like the episode a lot. There's a little bit of a delay. He's all the way in Berlin and I'm all the way here in the US, so there's this kind of patchy delay. So I step on his talking a little bit, and I'm sorry about that for those that are trying to listen. But he's able to get his message out there, and I think you're really, really going to find it interesting. Without any further ado, here is Valentin Gubkin of MemoPay.xyz. I'm a big fan of your work, MemoPay.xyz. It's a really interesting idea. It's something I would have never thought of, but essentially what I think you're doing is you have turned the incentive model. Well, we'll get into that, I guess. But you're basically paying people to effectively read messages. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, for their attention. I think it's fair relationship. Why should I see some advertising without paying? Why advertising should disrupt some processes? For example, when I see some videos on YouTube, I can control the situation. I just interrupted with some advertising, and no one paid me for that.
Right.
So
right.
Something's wrong with advertisement right now.
Yeah, we're just so, especially here in the United States, we're so conditioned to just accept it, but there's no real reason for that. Why shouldn't our time be compensated? So it's a great idea. How did you come up sort of think of it?
Oh, it's maybe a long story, because it all started with, do you know MemoCash, Memo.cash?
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
So when I have found this service was pretty amazing and amazed, and I thought, I can make some kind of bots for this network. For example, I have made two bots. First was BCH price bot, and when you type some comments like what is BCH price, mention BCH or BCH price, you will receive some post with current BCH price. After that, I think, Memo.cash have no functionality how someone can withdraw funds. And I have made bot to make withdrawals. And after that, I started receiving some replies, messages. Man, could you please add some memos to our withdrawals? And I thought, it's pretty easy. I could do that. And my girlfriend said, I think it could be some kind of business opportunity. Mm-hmm. We can use memos to promote some services. And literally how it was started.
Yeah, and it's just a brilliant idea that I wish I thought of. So someone goes to MemoPay, MEMOPAY.xyz, like the end of the Latin alphabet. They go to memopay.xyz,
and how would they use it, or how is it being used now?
For companies, for example.
Right.
Okay, company go to our new website. We have a new version of our website. Can find some information about what we are doing right now. Can found one of two options. We have cost percent is like sending messages en masse. For example, it's could be used for product announcements or something like that. Or choose the second option, it's new option, cost percent model, where you can pay only cost per click model, where you can pay only for clicks. After that, they can fill the form on our website, pay money, and campaign will start.
And this particular case that you've rolled out, I think it was at the end of last year, right? Was it 2018? Like fall?
Yeah.
Okay. In this particular case, you've targeted towards the Bitcoin Cash community, in that when someone sends a message out, what I would assume happens is that on your phone you get an alert in your wallet that you've received some satoshis, or some fraction of a fraction, and then you're like, what the heck? And you click on it, you're like, why did I get this? And then they can then go to the block.
After that, you go to Block Explorer and see our message. And moreover,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. It's a right description. When someone receives, for example, 1,000 satoshis and don't understand who has sent this amount of money, person go to Block Explorer and check information. When he goes to Block Explorer, he see some information. What is this transaction has some op-return text inside.
Right, and this is a way for people. I mean, it could be as complicated as an advertising campaign of some kind. 20% off if you click here. Go here. Eat at our store, whatever, or eat at our restaurant. Or it could just be a message you want to send out to people. Political campaigns, anybody can use it, right?
Yes, it's true. But theoretically, potentially, it could be any message you want to send. Any message you want to spread with community. But I think we should advertise only companies right now.
Right, because they seem to have the most, if we're talking about a series of incentives, they seem to have the most incentives to get out there. There's so much noise, and it's a very competitive market, and a lot of people are pushing back, especially now against some of the larger social media sites online, because they're essentially, these large social media companies are using our data, our personal data, to sell to other companies. And the trade-off there is, of course, that it's supposed to. That's why we don't pay anything for the service up front. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that they are the product. So they're, the user is the product. Whereas your model, I guess maybe go ahead.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
Once again, and the result of such a chain of selling and reselling your data to some companies is bubble, informational bubble, where you currently existing. For example, with Facebook, if Facebook or Google think that you are interested in dogs, you will receive only information about dogs and advertising only dog related.
It is crazy. It is crazy. Yeah. Like at first I thought, oh, that's, I'm glad they're doing that, because maybe over time their algorithms get a sense of what I like and I get more of what I like. But then you're exactly right. These things tend to trip on themselves, and you just keep seeing the same type of ads over and over and over and over, same types of content over and over and over again. Whereas with your with MemoPay.xyz, it's sort of interesting in that, what will take me out of my bubble, so to speak, what will make me look at your message, this company's message, is the fact that you're paying me for my time.
Yes, I pay you for your time, and moreover, you are not in bubble. You receive information from companies what currently operating on the market and want to directly contact with you. It's not about bubble, it's all about reality. You know, it's like in Facebook, it's like you currently in bubble of your friends or in bubble of your interests. But in Reddit, for example, you see like some kind of glass door of whole internet, what happens right now. And MemoPay, in this case, it's some kind of Reddit. What happened, which kind of companies existing right now, and this information you will receive.
Yeah, I like it. And so do you, because right now it's in kind of its early stages, right? You're still kind of building it out, seeing if people like it, if companies want to take you know, this opportunity to use it and so on. Do you envision it kind of growing, like inserting different types of messages in, maybe I don't know, like rudimentary GIFs or JPEGs or even video?
I don't think it's so currently, you know, it's op-return limit is around 221 bytes, yeah, and there is in single message it is impossible to place some kind of video or something like that, or music.
Right.
And that's why we are restricted with text messages. But I think it's enough right now.
Sure, and you can also get some. I can't think of the word. Maybe synergy or kind of cooperative crossover between, say, block explorers who want to make it easier to read the memos, and so they can jazz it up and make it, you know, sexier on their end. And then companies have to. Is there a character limit as to how long the memo can be?
Sorry. Oh, are you here? Okay. So for Block Explorer, I see MemoPay XYZ like currently it's a big word for that, but it's like a cornerstone for a system because it's a win-win situation for all participants. Block explorers receive more users, more visitors, so they receive more traffic when people receive MemoPay transaction. People go into block explorers and check this transaction. For example, for miners, it's also win-win situation because miners receive much more transaction fees, and for people, of course, it's win-win situation because we receive some amount of BCH.
Right. Yeah, and it's a really I love the idea. The incentives seem to be all there. So what you know, you could build on a lot of different blockchains. There's, you know, Ethereum. There's of course Bitcoin Core, and now there's many others. Why did you decide on Bitcoin Cash on BCH?
So I have two answers for this question. First answer is strictly business question. It's a business answer related to MemoPay XYZ. For example, as a service, MemoPay XYZ is best place for MemoPay XYZ as a service is Bitcoin Cash blockchain network because of low transaction fees and ability to add op-return as output. As for me personally, why I prefer BCH, and if you want, I can answer also.
Of course, and I think because I've seen you in different chat groups that we're in, you're very passionate about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a currency.
As a currency, yeah, it's my thesis. Because, you know, as I told every time on meetups, I believe in peer-to-peer electronic cash system, and I think it's the biggest ever problem we can potentially solve right now, and we should concentrate on this in this direction and make new era of payment processing for whole world. So that's why Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, I mean it's cheaper. It's definitely very easy to use, and that. So kind of take me into your background a little bit. How did you find cryptocurrencies to begin with?
Oh, I suppose it all started back in 2008. You know, when financial crisis happened. I was in Russia at that time, and I was some kind of live witness of whole situation. And that time, I thought that something is wrong with financial system, and you know, too much power is concentrated in bankers' hands.
Right.
I saw a lot of. I saw how this crisis changed people's life, but in the same time, I saw that there is no responsibility and but people have no power to change situation. It was all about banking, you know. But
Yeah.
in the same time, in this time, I was a student, and fun thing, but university was a totally wrong place to find answers and maybe potential solutions, you know. And
the university was the wrong place, you're saying?
Yeah, wrong place. So you know, it's all professors have no idea what this shit happened and how to solve it. Who is in charge of it? So in case you are looking for some kind of answers, you have no answer. So internet forums helped me, and I think in 2013, while I was working in Kia Motors as a future product manager, you know, my responsibility was looking in internet, searching for new opportunities for automotive industry, which kind of new options we could use, and something like that. I have found Bitcoin, so it's my history.
That's interesting. You kind of bumped into it. I think Russians especially, and you said to me in the pre-interview that you're a Siberian Russian, right?
Yeah.
I think Russians in particular are more passionate about cryptocurrency than most other people. For example, here in the United States, again, there's lots of qualifiers to this, but here in the U.S., we have, you know, easy money. You know, it's everything is frictionless and kind of works well, and we're very spoiled. Whereas in a place like Russia, coming out of the Soviet Union, only 30 years ago, and then when the 2008 crisis hit, with all the different world economies going down the tubes, you guys felt it, I think, a little bit more than other people. So I think is that fair to say that it sort of drives you to look for alternatives maybe before others might?
So you know, you said that in United States system works pretty well. Yeah, you know, when system works pretty well, it's the system could be wrong. You know, something wrong could be in even in good working system.
Oh yes, of course, for sure. But I think it's more obvious to you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, in Russia we have bad system, and this system, and something wrong in this bad system. You know, so
went from bad to worse.
yeah, and what I saw regular people. You know, regular people going to work, earn some money, and make some plans, and want to spend some money for, I don't know for what, but want to spend some money, make some plans, going to some other countries or something like that. And in one moment, just in one moment, I recall it was in November or something like that, everything is changing. People have less money and there is no stable workplaces. So for Russia, this crisis was much more higher or starker than for United States or for other countries, because Russia is developing economy.
Sure. And go ahead.
And it's worst situation when you are a victim of this crisis, but you have no power to make something. You can change the situation. And I think a lot of people in Russia understood that, but they worked hard, and they want to live like in other Western countries, European countries, like maybe like in United States also, because productivity is pretty high. But something every 12, 20 or something years, something happened, and you have no money for exact amount of time you spent for the work.
That would be maddening, because you also don't have any alternatives, right? So yes, you're stuck with the ruble, and maybe you can get out of it into, if you're wealthy and you're connected, you may be able to get out of it into euros or something else. But the average person, right, is just stuck.
Yes. So it's a pretty bad situation, and I think Russian people just feel it more often than other people. So
yeah, I noticed they're extremely passionate about cryptocurrencies, and they're constantly looking for ways to overcome. It's funny because even Putin has discussed here in the United States. I've never heard really any major politician talk about crypto so much, but Putin, at maybe 2-3 years ago, was talking a little bit about, he didn't down crypto. He actually said it was Bitcoin was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I have heard that. So it's I have forgot about my personal story, because I have worked in Kiev, and I have pretty high salary in this moment. And just one day, my salary in euro equivalent was dropped 2 times.
Wow.
Yeah, the same amount of time I spent, same work, same productivity, but 2 times lower salary in euro. So, should we somehow find any answers or no? I think yes.
Right, exactly. You've got to, there's, especially here in the US, we have all these choices. We have I had a friend growing up who came over from then the Soviet Union in the late 1970s, and he said that when he first got to the US, he was shocked by, they didn't have just one toothpaste. They had, 17 different varieties of toothpaste. So when he walked into the store, he said, toothpaste, please. And they took him to the aisle, and they said, okay, which one do you want? Do you want whitening? Do you want mint? Do you want this? And he said, toothpaste, just give me toothpaste. And he just couldn't get over the fact that these Americans had 25 different types of deodorant and 50 types of shampoos and 60 types of breads. But we have one choice for money. It's so strange. And people are just conditioned, and we talked a little bit about the advertising bubble that most of the world is in. I think that's doubly true. That's even more true for money. People just don't think of it as, that's something the government should do, and we should just trust them.
So it's worked like that. But another question, when you can change your government, it's impossible. So,
right. They're going to be there forever.
Yes. So you have same government, same problems, and you're a victim.
Yep, exactly. So you were telling me you're in Germany now.
Yes.
How do you? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm in Germany right now. So,
I know you're James Bond, but how do you get to Germany? How do you end up there?
It's pretty easy way. So generally, people have three ways to go to Germany from Russia. You can either find job. It's a first option. Second option, you could be a German or German partner. Or third way, you could be a Jewish. So I have combined last two options.
That was the same with my friend in the 70s. I asked him how he got here, and he said there was some sort of agreement between the United States and Russian Jews, and they were brought over here for a time period. I guess there was lots of persecution in Russia of Jews.
So it's one of the ways of Russian migration, you know.
Yeah. Do you like Germany? Do you find it to be a good place to live?
So how to answer? Germany is much more stable as Russia. It's much more connected with other world. For example, I can speak with you, and I have met Mike from CoinSpice on our meetup. Right. And I have a lot of friends from all over the world, but it's still, I like Germany. Okay, I like Germany. Germany is okay. Okay, for me it's okay.
Okay, and you want to kind of keep it. Okay, I got you. All right. So then, with what you're doing now, are you dedicated only to MemoPay.xyz, or are you looking at other projects as well?
Considering that we have a lot of stuff to do, I'm not 100% stick with MemoPay XYZ. It's my biggest project right now, but I'm constantly thinking about new and bigger projects. What could be useful for Bitcoin to mass adoption?
And speaking of that, have you been hit hard by the speculative price going down so much for the market? Like, has it made things tougher for you to do your work?
No. Firstly, I want to say, as a Russian guy, always when someone speak about Bitcoin price volatility, I want to say, what do you know about volatility?
So you know volatility.
Yeah.
That's right. That's nothing to you.
Frankly speaking, for me, one Bitcoin still one Bitcoin. So it's price of Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is what one Bitcoin. You know, it's some kind of memes on Reddit. It was some kind of challenge, 2008, 10 years challenge or something like that. Price of one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin.
Right. It's very philosophical way to look at it.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking long term. Are you go ahead.
Not my stuff.
You said no, you're not?
No, I try to think that Bitcoin price is one Bitcoin, and also trading is not my stuff at all.
Right. Okay. And but you're thinking longer term, right? You're thinking that this is something like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin Cash could be the future of money.
Yeah.
Are you so right now we're sitting in a very bearish market. Things are not going well, and as you say, like, you don't really pay much attention to that price. Are you hopeful for the future? What if you had a crystal ball? If you could become a psychic or see the future, what are your hopes for the future and crypto?
It's a good question, and I don't like make some kind of prognosis. There are a lot of prognosis in internet. Some kind of someone told that one Bitcoin will cost $1 million or something like that. I don't like this stuff, but I think current bearish market is some kind of manipulation, speculation, or something like that, because there are a lot of news that institutional investors want to be involved in this process, and no one will start trading Bitcoin as institutional investors on high.
Yeah, that everybody's waiting for the institutionals to come in, but your focus is on. Go ahead.
Sorry. And no one from institutional investors will start trading Bitcoin on high.
Right, they're going to buy it at a bottom, and they're going to try to get it at as cheap as they possibly can.
Maybe institutional investors drop in price or not. I don't know, but I think.
But overall, so let's take the price out of it. Let's remove the price. What do you see as the future of crypto? Like, do you think it will be adopted more in the future, or what are your thoughts?
So there's not a lot of things I believe in, but one thing I believe is electronic peer-to-peer cash system. I think it's our future. It's epochal thing like internet or book printing or something like that. It could take some time to adopt, but it's our future and it will be done one day. I strictly believe in that. I have already spread this idea with some guys, but it's something hard to implement right now, but we can potentially do it. We can make system of parishes, it's some kind of parishes. When it's like physical buildings, Bitcoin-related buildings, where regular people or businesses can come in and receive all information they want about Bitcoin and why its future, how it can solve biggest problem ever, acquiring costs, transaction fees with Visa, MasterCard, or something like that, how it could help with cross-boarding payments, and so on. So I think it's very important.
In Israel, they have what they call the Bitcoin Embassy, and Jeffrey Tucker here in the United States visited. I think it was Tel Aviv, and he went there and he saw the Bitcoin, almost exactly what you're talking about. People can go in.
What we need right now.
Say it again.
It's exactly what we need right now. For example, my girlfriend had a meeting with one person here in Germany who working in a consulting agency with more than 1,000 how it called bio related and something like that companies, bio products and something like that, and sustainability, based on sustainability, and this kind of companies looking for alternatives to current financial system. And we want to learn more about Bitcoin. And there are a lot of rumors here about proof of work and Bitcoin and something like that. And we need to have some kind of embassy. Yeah, embassy is a good name.
And it's had some success. There's the Bitcoin Embassy in Atlanta, Georgia, which is here in the United States. And there's a couple other spots kind of popping up, but I believe you're right. I think that's a very big business opportunity as well, if you can brand it in some way, and so people say, oh, hey, that's where I go to find out information about this crazy new thing. So that's actually a really good point.
And why I started with this idea, because I have read in one book, it was some kind of Homo sapiens or something like that book. It's about human's history. So it was one statement. Firstly, we thought that hunter society was evolving to peasants society, and after that, parishes and big monumental appeared. Yeah, but in reality, firstly, build the church, and near the church, settlements will appear. So it's some kind of like
right. So people needed a place to go.
Yeah, and it's first place. So firstly, people thought. I think it was a bad explanation. Firstly, people thought that to make a church, firstly, some village should appear from. So there are a lot of peasants, and after peasants have some profits, they have some money, some resources to build church. But last results of some kind of expertise or something like that showed that firstly church appeared, and around the church village appeared with peasants.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes sense, because the old way of thinking was that it was the villagers who built up the church. But you're saying that first it was the church, and that kind of brought everybody around. Is that right?
Yes, I'm talking about. So that's why we need some kind of Bitcoin embassies, and around this embassy, some kind of Bitcoin infrastructure will appear. Yeah.
It just needs to be more personable. There needs to be a human connection. I think that's certainly the value that you're speaking of, and the more that people can meet one another and have that peer-to-peer interaction and kind of see it work for themselves, I think the more that they're going to be interested in it. So I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to say, I'm waiting for Avalanche. So
you're waiting for Avalanche.
Yeah.
Because
so currently it's very hard to sell idea of Bitcoin, even Bitcoin Cash, to some kind of big stores, because everyone have to wait 10 minutes for transaction confirmation, even with null conf. But with Avalanche, with pre-confirmation, pre-consensus, it will take a few seconds.
Yeah, we had Emin Gunsir here from Cornell University and Bloxroute, and he talked a lot about Avalanche and how that may actually end up working. But for a payment system to compete with the likes of Visa or MasterCard or anything else that's out there in the world, it has to be fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. So.
Well, very good. Well, good. I really appreciate all your time, man. That was very, very nice. Are you feeling any better?
Yes.
I hear you coughing a little bit, so I want to make sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, man. Well, thank you again.
Okay right now.
Say it again.
Better. Everything is okay with me. It's better.
Good. All right. Well, I'm excited to see what happens with MemoPay.xyz and how that works out. Hopefully, we'll get more people over there using it. More companies taking advantage of this really innovative advertising campaign. This way to implement it. So, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.